Okay. The work crew isn't here yet. It's like 9:15. They're supposed to finish the grout today. They're still not here. I have not purchased the replacement toilet yet because I'm having issues with that as well. Um, okay. Let's cover another disaster, another climbing disaster. Let's go.
In 2008, Austin Howell lay on the ground on the University of Houston's indoor rock wall. He had just fallen 35 feet after attempting a tricky move on the wall. He had failed and lay on the floor below where he was just climbing, after his belayer, or person holding the safety rope, had made a careless mistake. The belayer had let go of the brake strand of the rope, causing the rope to quickly hiss through his harness, with no way to stop Austin from falling. After he smashed into the ground, he fractured 3 vertebrae and several bones in both feet. For most of us, an accident of this magnitude would put an end to our climbing careers. But for Austin, it was just the beginning. What would come next was a lifelong obsession with the sport.
I can't even with this dude. You know, my brother was on the path to be an Olympic springboard diver. And when he made the mistake of playing tag with his girlfriend, jumping off a balcony in her house and thinking he could just roll, and he ended up impacting so hard on the floor that his Achilles tendons pulled up so hard that they cracked both of his heels. And he was in double casts for a year. That was the end of his diving career. I don't know how this guy was like, I'm going to keep going. I just like broke all these bones and shit. I'm healing. I have a head injury. I'm going to just keep going.
Along with the physical injuries, the fall had caused Austin to have a slow brain bleed, which led to personality and emotional changes. This would begin his fight with mental health. Months after the accident, he nearly threw himself off the roof of a building on the University of Houston's campus. But there was one constant in his life that brought Austin joy: climbing. As his physical injuries healed from the 2008 fall, Austin began seeking more difficult challenges, until one day he tried something very few climbers dare: free soloing. A form of climbing where individuals would climb alone with no rope or safety gear, simply their shoes and a bag of chalk. Austin Howell free soloed harder and more often than almost anyone else in the country, documenting his exploits on Instagram and a podcast. But behind the scenes, not everything was as picture perfect as it seemed. This is his.
This is why you can't just look at people who are athletic and get good pictures and be like, oh, yes, they're so amazing. No, some of them are really fucked in the head, you guys. Let's be real.
Story. This video was taken in April of 2015, and at the time, 27-year-old Austin Howell had just gone viral across the internet in a video called Free Soloing with a Hat, but the commentary is what made the video gold.
This guy's fucking insane. He's soloing, climbing this route naked.
While Austin was already known in the climbing community, this video of him free soloing naked made his fame mainstream, and this is when his Instagram became popular. Ever since Austin's fall in 2008, he had become obsessed with climbing, but he had also climbed in his own way, obviously. He saw his free soloing as the product of careful, sober analysis, spending hours each climb, perfecting what he called his pre-flight checklist, ensuring he planned for every variable that could go wrong. But climbing history is littered with stories of risk-takers who convinced themselves that they could reason their way out of catastrophe. Austin's first free solo was unplanned. He just started climbing a 40-foot moderate crack in the Texas hill country at Enchanted Rock. After climbing and descending the route with a safety harness, he would tell his friend, "I'm about to do something so incredibly stupid that obviously I'm never going to do it again." The next weekend, Austin soloed 32 different routes, some 2,200 vertical feet of rock, and soon after, in his junior year, he dropped out of college.
I'm never gonna do it again. Right? So, all these people out there trying to kill themselves through various methods, I'm never gonna do it again. And they literally go right back to it. Right, Chantal?
To climb full-time. After his accident in 2008, Austin continued to develop his way of free soloing. From 2008 to 2015, he soloed every chance he got. Even writing on Instagram, "Free soloing isn't a death wish, it's a life wish. Soloing is the single best therapy I've ever found for calming my tumultuous mind." In 2015, Austin, at 27 years old, would be climbing El Capitan in Yosemite, one of the most impressive walls on our planet, at more than 3,000 feet above the valley floor.
El Capitan is the largest rock on the planet. That's its claim to fame, is that it is the largest rock on the planet.
It is 2.5 times as tall as the Empire State Building, or more than 3 times as high as the top of the Eiffel Tower. Austin was climbing with a partner using safety gear when a second climbing accident occurred. He had been climbing the first pitch of the nose, an iconic route that splits the monolith right down the center. Austin later told Blue Ridge Outdoors magazine, "A piece of aid gear pulled out under my body weight. Then, an additional piece probably pulled out as well. Then, I hit the ledge." Austin fell around 20 feet and landed on his head. He was airlifted to a nearby hospital where he learned that he had fractured his wrist, his right shoulder blade.
It could have been so much worse. 20 feet on El Capitan is not that big of a deal, to be real. I mean, obviously he got messed up, but El Capitan is, I think, 4,000 feet above the valley floor. So 20 feet is not that big of a deal, but I mean, clearly he got banged up.
5 vertebrae and his skull, which resulted in another traumatic brain injury. He also obliterated his left eardrum. He would never hear out of that side again. Austin was kept in an induced coma for over 10 days, but after he woke, he could think of nothing except returning to the rock. About 10 to 12 weeks after his fall, he cut off his cast, took off his neck brace, and began training. Doctors had told Austin that because of his hearing loss and its effects on his balance, he would have to learn how to effectively walk again, but most importantly, he would never be able to climb at a high level again. Unsurprisingly, Austin didn't listen.
Hi, I'm Kat Graham, and I have some...
Climb at a high level again. Unsurprisingly, Austin didn't listen. After his accident, his solos would reach new levels. In April 2016, he free soloed his first 512. Most climbing routes are assigned a grade based on their difficulty. What you are seeing on screen is that scale of grades. A 5.12 is considered advanced. Usually it takes a few years of practice and confidence building to reach this scale with safety gear, and Austin was completing climbs without it. He would continue to solo ever-increasing difficult routes over the next few years, perfecting his craft and documenting everything along the way. But at that level of difficulty, some would say, it's only a matter of time. On June 30th...
You know, it's so crazy because, like, they have a rock climbing school in Yosemite that they practice over by the the wall that's right by the Awani Hotel. It's like in between the Awani Hotel and the Yosemite Village, right? And there's at least been one death there, too. It was some dude who's like, I grew up here, I know how to do this, I can free solo. And motherfucker fell down. I mean, I don't know why it's so important for you guys not to use your safety gear, but okay.
2019, Austin Howell decided to climb a route in North Carolina called Dopey Duck. Dopey Duck is a 350-foot vertical wall that is one of the most popular climbs in the entire Carolinas. To reach the climbing spot, you have to hike 45 minutes through a large gorge, then descend a 400-foot gully. The first pitch is approximately 100 to 120 feet, depending on your route. The second pitch...
And just to be clear here, when we talk a 45-minute hike, that is for healthy people that are hiking at like a normal speed, right? So when Chantel says that she wants to get to base camp of Mount Everest, and healthy hikers are saying it takes 9 days of hiking just to get there, that is not going to be her timing. She can't fucking walk that fast. Let's be real.
Becomes more difficult and extends for another 150 feet. Finally, the most difficult section of the climb is the third and final pitch of 100 feet. To finish the wall, you must climb over a small head wall before reaching the final stretch to the top. Austin would be climbing the route with a friend and photographer Ben Wu, capturing the moment. Austin would free solo a handful of climbs on the way to Dopey Duck, and Ben would constantly be taking pictures. Eventually, Ben would head back to the parking lot, while Austin continued to climb different routes. Later in the day, two climbers, Riley Collins and Jay Massey, were making their way down the descent gully on their way to Dopey Duck. 80 feet from the bottom, Riley would look to his left and saw a climber soloing in the steepest part of the face roof, only 30 feet or so from topping out. Riley had recognized Austin from Instagram, and because he was wearing his famous tie-dye shirt and hat. Austin was at the most difficult section of the climb, and he had to make a difficult move to his left. Riley watched as Austin made a big lunge. It was instinct. There was no fear, and he had completed the move several times before, but this time, it wasn't perfect. Riley heard Austin yell no, but that was it. That was the only thing he said. He didn't scream or anything on the way down. He kind of knew it, I guess. Riley and Jay would rush to Austin's body, and Jay would reach him as he took his final breaths. Austin, being near the end of the climb, had no chance of survival, and he knew it. Austin was resourceful and clear-eyed about his mental health. Free soloing was just one part of a therapeutic toolkit that by the end included counseling and medication. After Austin's death, his family and friends would celebrate his life. Even his tombstone is designed in a way to look like jagged peaks. On the front is a picture of him reclining on some rocks atop Short-Off Mountain, wearing his newsboy hat and a tie-dye shirt. The mountains are calling, and I must go. The famous John Muir quote is etched along the bottom. The back is similar. No fear of flying. Austin, free soloist, it reads. Above the inscription, another photo from the same day. Austin high on the wall, smiling at the camera. It was obvious Austin battled his demons, as we all do, but Austin did it in his way, and he lived on his terms. Something that I will always respect.
Well, I mean, you can respect that, but you know that he had mental issues because he had so many head trauma injuries, and he shouldn't have been doing that anymore. But what are you going to do with an adult who's fucked up, right? Who's making their own decisions about their health? What are you going to do?